Hello listeners, and welcome to this week's recording of Boomerang. Team 3 is here. My name is Jim, and your other readers are...
Therine,
Nan,
and Ray. Andrew's our engineer tonight, and he'll be doing the recording, and Ray, as well as reading, he will be doing the copying and the distribution of your sticks. The news this week is taken with permission, of course, from the West Lothian Courier dated Thursday, the 13th of November. And we are recording this on the 13th of November. Now, normally we would add material from publications like the Reader's Digest, but at the end of the programme. But we have a rather full programme for you this week, which includes 2 interviews. So we're going to get started. It's been divided into 4 sections, and can I remind you right at the start, when you've listened to the whole recording, please post your wallet back to us from a post box and not the post office. So we'll start the first section with some general news.
Partnership kits out youngsters for success. Pupils from Falthouse schools have been kitted out for success thanks to an innovative partnership. Falthouse Community Youth Target and Falthouse United Football Club have teamed up to provide brand new football kits for Fala Hill and St John the Baptist primary schools. The new kits, which were kindly sponsored and funded by Dave Huddleston from Falthouse Community Youth Target and former Secretary of Falthouse United, aim to encourage more pupils to take part in sport and encourage teamwork by removing barriers that might prevent children taking part. West Lothian's Provost Cathy Muldoon was invited along to help present the new strips to excited pupils. She said, "Huge thanks to Falthouse Community Youth Target and Falthouse United Football Club for this fantastic donation of football strips. It's fantastic to see local organisations come together to help encourage our young people to stay active and healthy." Dave Huddleston, Vice Chair of Falthouse Community Youth Target, added, "It's a pleasure to enable this project to go forward for the benefit of the children and the wider community." Stephen Sharp, Director of Football at Falthouse United Football Club, continued, "It's fantastic to work in partnership with Falthouse Community Youth Target, who do so much for local youth, and we also work closely with both schools who are so passionate about football. We're delighted the schools have welcomed our support and look forward to strengthening those relationships even further as we continue to do what we can to support the community." And there's a lovely picture with the 2 teams wearing their new outfits, looking very pleased with themselves.
family shocked by tragic death of beloved mother Emma. A West Lothian mum of 7 tragically died after she collapsed while putting her children to bed. Emma McGinty, 43, was rushed to hospital on Monday, November 3rd, after telling her family something was really wrong. Her eldest daughter, Nicole, said she had appeared fine and was getting on with cleaning their house in West Lothian earlier that day. Emma was taken to St John's Hospital in Livingston before being moved to the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh. Doctors discovered a clot on her carotid artery that had travelled to her brain, which had caused a stroke. Her family were told that due to her being younger, surgery on the brain would be difficult. Emma was unable to speak or move. On Tuesday night, the family left the hospital with doctors observing Emma overnight, but they received a call to come to the hospital the following morning. Nicole, along with Emma's other 2 eldest daughters, were by her side as she passed away. She leaves behind Nicole, 23, Zoe, 21, Naomi, 20, Andrew, 15, Leon, 4, and twins Kai and Zaria, aged 3. Emma was also a proud gran to young ones Cade and Mason. The family are hoping to give Emma, who didn't have a bad bone in her body, the send-off she deserves. Speaking to Edinburgh Live, Nicole said, "I don't think some of us have fully processed it. It was all so sudden. It wasn't supposed to happen, and it's affected everyone massively. Mum never had any savings. She didn't have life insurance or anything because we just didn't expect this. We've been so stuck on what to do." Nicole told us that Emma was going about her day as usual on November 3rd when she collapsed. Her son Leon, only 4 years old, had to grab the phone for her so she could call for help. Nicole recalled, "My grandparents were up at the house. They said she was fine. She was hoovering and cleaning up and was just about to get the rest of the kids to bed. My gran had just gone back to their house and they were going to come back up, but before they even got down, Mum was on the phone. She had been shouting to get the phone, so Leon, the 4-year-old, went and grabbed it for her. She had been trying to go up the stairs and collapsed, and her vision went. She was so scared. The full right-hand side of her body, she couldn't move. Mum was grabbing onto Grandad, saying something was really wrong. She held my hand and asked if I come to hospital with her. We were waiting on the ambulance and we didn't even know what was wrong. She got taken to St John's on the Monday. They gave her scans, but it wasn't clear enough. She was moved to the Royal in Edinburgh, where doctors discovered a clot in her carotid artery that had travelled to her brain. The family were told that surgery would be challenging due to Emma being younger. Doctors also feared her being unable to speak or move could be permanent. Emma was moved to the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh on Tuesday, November 4th. Nicole continued, "They were explaining her surgery over the phone that she could have done where some of the bone would be removed from her brain. But because she was so young and with the swelling, there wasn't enough space to go. Whereas somebody who had a stroke that was older, there's less brain and more space." We went up and saw the neurosurgeon. It was me and the older kids, Mum's boyfriend and the grandparents. He just said how sorry he was, but she couldn't speak or move. She was bedbound, and they basically said these things could be permanent, even if she had surgery. When Emma was only 19 years old, she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Nicole told us her mum described it as enduring constant pain most could never imagine. Despite her condition, Nicole said her mum never lost her strength, her humour, or her love for life. She added, "She described her pain as if you'd done a workout at the gym, but your body's just constantly sore. There were times when she couldn't even move out of her bed. She always had to be on painkillers. She was struggling with the little ones. She needed a lot of help." Due to her ongoing condition, Nicole and the rest of the family feared Emma may not have been able to fight the stroke. She told us, "Her body was so weak as it is. We were never sure if she'd had been able to fight it. They said they would observe her overnight, but she deteriorated massively." We got called in on Wednesday morning, and there was nothing else they could have done. For 3 days, she fought bravely, surrounded by love. She was so independent. She loved doing things by herself. As that disease got worse, she needed the help, but when she was younger and fitter, she was amazing and doing well. She was so bubbly, so warm, and she loved everybody around her. She never had a bad bone in her body. Even though she was struggling, she would put everybody before herself. She loved every single one of her kids and her 2 grandkids. She brought warmth and laughter wherever she went, and her presence could brighten even the darkest days. She had a way of making people feel seen, loved and understood, and she will be missed by everyone lucky enough to have known her. The family is at peace knowing that Emma will no longer have to suffer from pain, and that she will live on through her beautiful children, where her memory will never be forgotten.
New vehicles for council, but no electric cars. West Lothian Council has purchased almost 300 new vehicles, but none of them are electric, councillors heard. The council's Operational Services Department is testing some light commercial EVs, a meeting was told, but none have entered full-time service with the council. Budget constraints and the comparatively high cost of EVs as compared to conventionally powered cars and vans is still a factor, along with servicing demands. In a report to the Environment and Sustainability PDSP, councillors were asked to consider the Fleet Asset Management Plan. The report said, the approved Council Vehicle Replacement Programme, VRP, replaces 850 vehicles over 5 years from 2024 to 25. The VRP provides user services with modern fleet assets, improved asset performance and reliability, leading to reduced vehicle downtime and increased productivity. From the start of the VRP implementation in 2024-25, 269 vehicles have been replaced, meeting vehicle number replacement targets and within the agreed budget provision. Fleet Services continues to engage with customers to ensure replacement activity is maintained and fleet asset requirements are delivered. Asked to define the customers in the report, an officer said it referred to staff from across council departments. The vehicle stock covers everything from staff cars to road gritters and refuse wagons. All are maintained by council mechanics working to robust and regular schedules. SNP councillor Veronica Smith asked, of the 269 vehicles purchased, how many are electric? Douglas West, a transport officer, replied, none of the 269 have been electric. We are actively engaging with suppliers and running a program to test vehicles in a real-world scenario. We're trying to identify vehicles that meet our needs for services and within the available budget. Councillor Smith asked what sort of vehicles were being tested. Mr. West replied, largely we've been bringing in small cars as well as small commercial vehicles, small vans. He added that there was a bit of a gap in vehicle costs and stressed that budget constraints applied. At the launch of the VRP a year ago, transport officers said a £34 million replacement scheme would instead look to buy the most efficient diesel or petrol equivalent and admitted the cost of electric vehicles and the investment needed in charging infrastructure was unaffordable. The latest asset management report added, Fleet Services are continually working with vehicle suppliers to test and explore electric vehicle options that provide services with vehicles that are fit for purpose within the available budget. Cenotaph Honour for Brave RAF Hero. A West Lothian veteran marched in the Remembrance Day parade at the Cenotaph in London last Sunday, fulfilling a lifelong dream he thought had passed him when he lost his sight. Ian Baker said the opportunity to take part and salute the King was the honour of her lifetime. Ian, who served in the Royal Air Force, is supported by Sight Scotland veterans and is a regular at the charity's Lindburn Centre in West Lothian. He said, "Thanks to Sight Scotland veterans, I was given the incredible opportunity to march in the Cenotaph Parade in London. It's something I've always wanted to do, to stand in honour of the fallen. I've lost many good friends and family members in different conflicts, and this was my chance to pay tribute to them. I never imagined I'd get to be part of something like this, especially after losing my sight. It means more to me than I can put into words. It means so much to me because, as the old saying goes, for our tomorrows they gave their todays. I can't thank these people enough for the sacrifices they made and for the freedoms we have today. Marching in their honour was the least I could do, and I did it with pride. I'm incredibly proud to have this opportunity, and it's all thanks to Sight Scotland veterans. It's such a fantastic charity. I was proud not only to march at the Cenotaph, but to do it alongside others from Sight Scotland veterans who've supported me every step of the way. Ian has been supported by Sight Scotland veterans for nearly 2 years and loves coming to the Lindburn Centre. He added, "It's changed my life. I have a medical condition called myasthenia gravis, an autoimmune disorder that affects the nerves and muscles throughout the body. Unfortunately, it's had a big impact on my eyes, and my vision is slowly deteriorating. A friend suggested I get in touch with Sight Scotland veterans, and I am so glad I did. From that moment on, everything changed. The support has been incredible. I come to the Lindburn Centre twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays and take part in a range of activities like bracelet making, paracord tying, acoustic shooting, indoor curling and bowls. These are things I never thought I would do again. Playing bowls here gave me the motivation to join my local bowling club, and I have just finished my first season with them. It has been brilliant meeting new friends. The staff are amazing, and nothing is ever too much for them. Honestly, they have saved me. Without this place, I would be stuck at home doing nothing."
Local couple in trip down memory lane. Hugh and Nancy celebrating 70 years of marriage. A Harthill couple celebrated their platinum wedding anniversary by taking a trip to the hotel where they enjoyed their honeymoon. Hugh and Nancy Bowden were wed on October 21st, 1955, and enjoyed their honeymoon break at the Glenroy Hotel in Ballach. And 70 years on, the couple, aged 96 and 91 respectively, decided to return to the hotel to share even more happy memories. Hugh and Nancy's son Alan said, "We took them down there and they had a brilliant time. They still have old photos of the hotel and even the receipt from their stay there. When we went down, the people who own the hotel now found out and offered to buy them dinner. They couldn't have been nicer." Both Hugh and Nancy were brought up in the Eastfield area of Shotts and met at a fellowship meeting at a local church. Hugh started his working life as a joiner and completed his national service with the RAF in Germany. He then went into the teaching profession and spent his entire career at Calderhead High School in Shotts. Nancy worked as a nurse at a variety of establishments, including Bangor Hospital. The couple had 5 children: Diane, Elaine, Gordon, Alan, and Kenneth, who sadly passed away from cancer several years ago. They have also welcomed 8 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren into the family. Alan said, "They have had a great life. Dad has some mobility issues, but they are still in the same house in Victoria Road. They were one of the first people to move in, and they are still there. North Lanarkshire Provost Kenneth Duffy and Deputy Lieutenant of Lanarkshire George Barnsley visited the couple on the day of their anniversary. The Provost presented Mr. and Mrs. Bowden with flowers, a card, and a gift for the councillors and people of North Lanarkshire, and Dale Barnsley presented them with a card from the King and Queen.
Addiewell named as violent jail. HMP Addiewell has been named as Scotland's most violent and dangerous jail, according to a new report. Data released from the Scottish Prison Service revealed the privately run prison in West Lothian had more cases of assault and self-harm than any other NIC in Scotland last year. It recorded 234 incidents of self-harm, which accounted towards the 1,047 incidents in Scotland's jails, higher than at HMP Barlinnie, which holds the most dangerous prisoners in Scotland at 55. HMP Edinburgh accounted for 112 incidents, and it holds more prisoners than Addiewell. The next highest is HMP Kilmarnock, with 138 incidents, reports the Daily Record. The information was released to the paper following a Freedom of Information request, and politicians have now called for urgent change at the crisis-hit jail. Facilities management company Sodexo currently operate and run Addiewell Prison, with their contract set to expire in 2033. The data reveals that the prison recorded 154 assaults, which is almost double the 80 recorded at Barlinnie and more than the 135 in HMP Edinburgh. Last year, there were 956 prisoners attacked across the country's 15 jails. The figures revealed that Addiewell had 61 deaths in custody. Prison reform charity Howard League Scotland told the paper, "Prisons should never be a place for the pursuit of private profit at the expense of vulnerable people. There is increasing evidence of serious issues specific to HMP Addiewell, which need to be resolved with some urgency." Scottish Lib Dem Justice spokesman Liam MacArthur, MSP, said, "The operators of Addiewell should be in the last chance saloon." An Addiewell spokesman said, "Any death in custody and incident of assault is treated with the utmost seriousness, and our priority at Addiewell and Barlinnie is to implement effective and positive changes in the prisons."
Game on for Constance. Almond Valley MSP Angela Constance recently visited Fauldhouse United to congratulate the club on achieving official charity status through the Fauldhouse United FC Trust. During her visit, Miss Constance met with Leanne Watson, trustee of Fauldhouse United FC Trust, and Stephen Sharp, director of Fauldhouse United, to learn more about the club's community-focused work and future plans. The newly established charitable status will enable Fauldhouse United to expand its community projects and strengthen its support for local people. The Trust is already making a positive impact through initiatives such as mentoring programs in local schools, providing free football kits, and running a boot bank to help families access sporting equipment. In addition, the Trust works to encourage greater participation in sport, create pathways into senior football for young players, and build partnerships with other local charities and organisations. Speaking after the visit, Angela Constance, MSP, said,
It's inspiring to see how Falthouse United is using the power of sport to bring people together and make a real difference in the community. Achieving charity status is a great step forward, and I wish the club and the trust every success in their future projects.
Business awards are set for late November. Judging is underway for this year's Business Excellence Awards run by the West Lothian Chamber of Commerce. The final nominations came in last week, with the winners announced at a gala dinner at the McDonald Houston Hotel, Uphall, on Friday, November the 28th. Recognised as West Lothian's premier business awards, they showcase organisations that have achieved business excellence across all the categories. Joint headline sponsors for the 2025 edition of the awards are DYW West Lothian Regional Group and the Glenmorangie Company. This year, there are 6 categories up for grabs. Best Business, sponsored by Livingston Football Club. Shona Sybil Women in Business, which is sponsored by Sybil Training. DYW Regional Employer of the Year, sponsored by the Glenmorangie Company. Environmental Champion of the Year, sponsored by Shinitsu. Entrepreneur and Business Start of the Year, and the Innovation and Resilience Awards, both sponsored by West Lothian Chamber of Commerce. Linda Scott, West Lothian Chamber of Commerce Chief Executive, said, "I would like to thank all the sponsors of the evening. Their support is very much appreciated. West Lothian is a great hub for successful and progressive businesses, and the Chamber feel it is only right that this is celebrated in a grand fashion with their Black Tie Business Excellence Awards. It is time for deserving winners to be publicly acknowledged for demonstrating continued pursuit of excellence." And that takes us to the end of part 1, and we'll be back with part 2 very shortly. Welcome back to part 2, and we will start part 2 with the family intimations, and there are only 2 deaths in the intimations this week. John Lynch, peacefully at Edinburgh Royal Infirmary on Tuesday the 28th of October 2025, aged 90 years. John, husband of Petra and beloved father of Anne, Patricia and Martin. Agnes Terry, Nancy, 3/12/1946 to 25/10/2025. Peacefully at Western General Hospital on Saturday the 25th of October 2025, aged 78. Beloved wife to Victor and the late Walter. Much loved sister to Gordon and the late June. Cherished aunt and sister-in-law and friend to many. Nancy's kindness, wit and humour will be missed by all who knew her, and her absence will be felt forevermore. And that's the end of the intimation, so we'll carry on with some more news stories.
Parties blame each other for poverty figures. Councillors focused on West Lothian's shocking child poverty figures in a political blame game at this month's executive, as parties position themselves ahead of the coming budget and Scottish elections. The Local Democracy Reporting Service first revealed West Lothian in the top 10 of highest levels of child poverty in the country. In a list of shame, the county's figure of 24.1% outstrips Edinburgh and neighbouring South Lanarkshire. The SNP said the report ignored the success of the Scottish Government in tackling the issue. Labour said the statistics showed more had fallen into hard times in the last decade. Councillor Veronica Smith, SNP, said the introduction to the report was selective and lacked balance. Susan Mannion, Labour's deputy leader, said, "We need to tackle the causes of poverty. It's not about benefits." Anti-Poverty Service Manager Nahid Hanif told the meeting, the latest child poverty estimates from the End Child Poverty Coalition at Loughborough University indicate that in 23-24, 24.1% of children living in West Lothian were living in relative poverty, representing a reduction of 0.5% from the years 22 and 23. West Lothian remains above the Scottish average of 22%. The Bleak report, the Local Child Poverty Action Report, detailed, when comparing rates across the 32 local authorities in Scotland, West Lothian features in the top 10 areas with the highest levels of child poverty, ranking ahead of neighbouring local authorities, City of Edinburgh, South Lanarkshire and the Scottish Borders. SNP councillors said not enough credit was given to the success of Scottish Government benefits such as the Scottish Child Payment and mitigation against the 2-child cap. And they highlighted the support of policies by national economists which show that Scotland is the only part of the UK where child poverty is falling. Councillor Pauline Stafford, the opposition group's deputy leader, referring to scrapping the benefit cap, said, Labour has been power for 16 months and have every opportunity to pull the one lever that every charity has said is the most cost-effective way to pull people out of poverty. You have not pulled that lever. There's plenty of evidence to suggest that Scotland is the only part of the country where child poverty levels are falling. Thanking Ms Hanif and her team for an incredible job, Councillor Stafford warned against considering cuts to the APS and other vital non-statutory services in the upcoming budget. Councillor Mannion said, let's make no mistake, this is absolutely shocking. The fact child poverty is, in real terms, getting higher. The gap between richer and poorer children is getting wider. Education attainment is getting wider between richest and poorest areas. Where are we? It's getting worse because we need to tackle the causes of poverty. It's not about benefits. It's not about who's getting paid what, where and how over a particular time. Councillor Janet Campbell, the SNP group leader, told the meeting that child poverty figures were 23% in Scotland, 31% in England and 33% in Wales. I don't know why anyone here can say that policies instituted by the Scottish Government are not having a positive effect. No one is saying we can rest on our laurels. No one is saying we don't need to do more. Conservative Angela Doran Timpson said that removing the 2-child cap would cost the Westminster Government an extra £4.5 billion. The real key to solving poverty was getting parents into work. Chairing the meeting, Councillor Leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick defended what he called a balanced report and said, education is the key to ending poverty. He said the First Minister had given £20 million towards a new concert hall in Edinburgh, but had yet to provide any money to rebuild St Kentigern's Academy in Blackburn, 2/3 of which had to be demolished because of RAAC. The Scottish Government spent money on favoured projects but starved education, also cutting the college's budget by 20%. Where, he asked, would society find the engineers, electricians and roofers of the future?
Nurses at mental health unit hacked off my hair and forced me to put on suicide smock. Nurses hacked off a teenager's hair and forced her to wear a suicide smock in a controversial mental health unit. Sadie Mackenzie, 20, spoke out about her ordeal at the Young Persons Unit of the Royal Edinburgh Hospital after a report published last week revealed concerns about care at the facility, now known as the Melville Unit and based at the Royal Hospital for Children and Young People. She claims she has been left traumatised by her treatment when she was admitted in 2020 at the age of 15. Sadie, who suffered from mental health issues and suicidal thoughts while at the unit, accepts she was in need of help, but believes her dehumanising experiences went beyond care and entered the realms of abuse and neglect. Giving a harrowing account of the horror she endured, Sadie from West Lothian told the Record, "Nurses were instructed to cut my hair off, which was completely unheard of, but they said it was to stop me using it to hurt myself. I remember being held down in a seated restraint. There were people at either side of me, and I was trying to use every bit of force I had to get away from their grip. I was begging them to stop, but they didn't. My hair had been long and blonde, but they hacked it and left me with a short and messed up bob. It was incredibly dehumanising because my hair was one of the part of myself I liked and I took pride in it. It felt like they stripped away my sense of self and my identity." Sadie said she was then dressed in an anti-ligatured gown, commonly known as a suicide smock, designed to prevent the ripping of material that could be used for incidents of self-harm and suicide. She was then placed in a seclusion room, alone, with nothing but a mattress on the floor. Sadie continued, "I was pushed into that room, and then the staff ran out and locked the door. I spent the full day and night screaming for my mum. When she came in to visit, she saw me. I was just sitting there in that ugly anti-rip dress with my face red from crying and begging for someone to help me." Sadie said she was eventually discharged from the hospital without any therapeutic input or even having been properly reviewed or assessed by a doctor. NHS Lothian later issued an apology over her treatment after her mum, Lisa, made a formal complaint, prompting an investigation into her care. Service Director Tracy McKigan wrote to Lisa, confirming there was sufficient evidence that the cutting of Sadie's hair was out with what could reasonably be perceived as an immediate and reactive response to a critical risk. McKigan also made clear that anti-ligature clothing, which is impossible to rip, was forced on Sadie without good reason. She added, "I would like to acknowledge the impact that this experience has had on Sadie. She did not receive the standard of care that she ought to." Sadie was prompted to speak out after last week's report following an inspection of the Melville Unit run by Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services raised concerns about the use of physical restraint and forced tube feeding in the ward for 12 to 17-year-olds. The inspection was the first in a series of visits to psychiatric wards, which were ordered after BBC Scotland's Disclosure programme uncovered allegations of a culture of cruelty at Skye House, the young people's inpatient facility in Glasgow. The inspection was carried out jointly by the Healthcare Watchdog and the Mental Welfare Commission. Sadie, who is now living at home with her mum, wants to drive change in the way young people are cared for in mental health services. She said, "There is a growing mental health crisis in young people, and the services don't seem to be making the appropriate and necessary changes to deal with it appropriately." Jim Comby, Deputy Chief Executive of NHS Lothian, said, "I would like to repeat the sincere apology we made to Sadie at the time. I'm very sorry the care she experienced 5 years ago fell short of the standards she deserved, and for the lasting impact this has had. We have made important improvements to our care, but recognise how deeply the use of physical restraint to prevent self-harm can affect young people. Our recent efforts to reduce restraint are showing positive results, and we are prioritising staff training in care planning and better ways to support young people through distress into recovery. If you are struggling and need to talk, the Samaritans operate a free helpline open 24/7 on 116 123. Alternatively, you can email joe@samaritans.org or visit their site to find your local branch.
Black Friday offer can help Alzheimer's cause. Dobby's Garden Centres is encouraging customers to come along to the Livingston store to be the first to shop exclusive Black Friday offers at its late-night shopping event in aid of Alzheimer's Research UK. 7 days of festive Black Friday offers gets underway at the Christmas shopping night event from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. These offers include 20% off a selection of 7-foot artificial trees, 20% off selected lighting, half-price LED tabletop games, and 20% off advent calendars and selected Christmas food gifts. Tickets for the event on Thursday, November the 27th, are priced at £1, £2.50 and £5, with a pay-what-you-can approach, with all proceeds donated to Dobby's national charity partner, Alzheimer's Research UK. Dobby's events programme manager, Aisha Nixon, is looking forward to welcoming customers for an evening of festive shopping. She said, "Christmas shopping night is a great opportunity for friends and family to come together and get a head start on the Christmas shopping at our Livingston store. We have some great offers and promotions to take advantage of, while soaking up the festive atmosphere and fundraising for a great cause. Christmas shopping night is a staple in our seasonal events calendar, and this year we'll raise funds for our national charity partner, Alzheimer's Research UK. Alzheimer's Research UK is the UK's leading dementia research charity. Dobby's is working together with Alzheimer's Research UK to highlight the benefits of garden living for brain health and raise funds to find a cure for dementia, raising more than £40,000 for the charity since the partnership launched in March. Paul Glazier, Head of Corporate Partnerships at Alzheimer's Research UK, said, "We are incredibly grateful to Dobby's for raising vital funds and awareness for Alzheimer's Research UK through its Christmas shopping night. With almost 1 million people currently living with dementia in the UK, it's vital that we come together and end the heartbreak of this condition."
Fears over child mental health waiting times. MP Poynton hosted an event to bring families together. Livingston MP Gregor Poynton brought together families affected by the ongoing crisis in child and adolescent mental health services, referred to as CAMHS waiting times. The meeting was organised in response to recent figures showing that NHS Lothian currently has the longest CAMHS waiting list in Scotland, leaving many young people and their families without timely access to vital mental health support. Mr. Poynton issued an open invitation to anyone in his constituency who had been impacted by CAMHS, whether through positive or negative experiences, to share their stories and help identify the key challenges facing the system. Over recent months, MPs and MSPs across Scotland have seen a significant increase in casework from families and young people struggling to access the help they need. Held in a town hall-style format, the meeting provided families not only the chance to speak directly to their MP, but also to connect with others going through similar experiences. Many attendees described feeling isolated and let down by the system, but the gathering created a sense of shared purpose and solidarity among those present. Following the public session, Mr. Poynton chaired a private roundtable discussion with representatives from NHS Lothian, local charities and mental health organisations. This second stage of the event focused on understanding what support is required, both for families and for service providers, to help tackle the crisis. Mr. Poynton said, "As an MP, I regularly receive casework about waiting lists and the difficulties families face, but to hear these stories firsthand was truly harrowing. The SNP Scottish Government are failing local people terribly, and the human cost of these delays is unacceptable. Families are doing everything they can to support their children, yet they feel abandoned by a system that is supposedly there to help them." One of those who spoke at the meeting was Jasmine, a young person who has had a deeply challenging experience with CAMHS. Addressing the families and representatives present, she said, "For once it felt like someone was listening and ready to act on the lack of mental health support across Scotland. The failure in both youth and adult services are clear. What we need now is action, not excuses. I can only hope people will take notice and there's a real challenge. NHS care is declining and going private isn't an option for many. That shouldn't take away our right to access proper help." Commenting on the follow-up roundtable, Mr. Poynton said, "I thought it was imperative to bring everyone together to support local families, so I was greatly disappointed that the Minister from the SNP Scottish Government declined that opportunity." The roundtable allowed NHS Lothian and local organisations to share the reality on the ground, the challenges they face, the work they are already doing to support families, and what additional support they need from government to address this crisis effectively. It also gave me a clearer understanding of how I can continue to advocate for residents and ensure they get the support they deserve. Following the event, Mr. Poynton confirmed that he will be writing to both the Minister for Mental Wellbeing and Social Care and the Cabinet Secretary for Health, outlining the key concerns raised by families, NHS Lothian and support organisations. He will urge them to meet with them as a matter of urgency to discuss immediate and long-term solutions to the CAMHS waiting list. "This is not a problem that can wait," Mr. Poynton added. "This every day that passes without action means another young person is left without the help they desperately need. I will continue to fight for the families in West Lothian until we see meaningful change."
First-time buyers put pets as a major priority. For many first-time buyers, whilst location remains high on their wish list, increasingly having a garden for their beloved pooch is a crunch factor when it comes to deciding on their first home. At Bellway's Winchborough Grange development in West Lothian, the sales team have seen a surge in first-time owners opting for a home with a garden. Lynn Pringle, sales director at Bellway Homes Limited for Scotland East, said, "It's very common for first-time buyers now to have a dog as part of their setup, and it's key in deciding what home they opt for. As well as seeking a garden, they also want to know if there's lots of green space and safe paths and places to walk their dog." Our Benbecula house style has been a favourite choice amongst couples and their beloved pet. A semi-detached 3-bedroom home, the Benbecula features a welcoming hall, a spacious kitchen cum breakfast area, with convenient French doors to enable 4-legged friends out to the garden. Also has a living room and a cloakroom. Home buyers can visit a newly opened Benbecula View home to see firsthand the space and standard of finish on offer. The Benbecula is priced from £252,995. Located at Millcraig Terrace, Winchborough Grange also offers a choice of mid and end terrace homes with prices from £252,000 to £334,000. However, Bellway is currently offering savings of up to £12,500 on selected properties reserved before Christmas. Winchborough started as an ambitious master plan and has emerged to become a highly desirable commuter location. With a strong sense of community, it offers terrific amenities such as good schools and leisure facilities, including a new marina. 2 show homes and the View home are open along with the sales office Thursday from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m, Friday 10 a.m. until 5 p.m, Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m, and Monday from 10 a.m. until 5. And further information is available by contacting 01506 551 662 or from bellway.co.uk.
8 vie for seat at council. 8 candidates will vie for a seat in the chambers of West Lothian Council next month. Voters in the Whitburn and Blackburn ward will go to the polls on December 11th to choose a new councillor. 2 of the candidates standing are independents, the rest represent the regular political parties. Reform also returns to the contest. The party has contested every council by-election since the July 2024 general election. The polls open at 7 a.m. on December 11th and close at 10 p.m. At the last by-election, the turnout was 20.7%. Voters are urged to make sure they can have their say. The deadline for voter registration is midnight on Monday, November 24th. Further guidance on voter registration and more is available via the council website. The victor will replace Labour's David Russell, who quit in September, less than a year after he was elected to replace Kirstine Sullivan. Labour will be fighting to retain a voting colleague for veteran George Paul. The SNP hope to add to its 15-strong opposition group by providing a new colleague for fellow SNP representatives in the ward, long-serving husband and wife councillors Jim and Mary Dixon. Councillor Russell resigned from the Labour Party as councillor on September 22nd. It was a blow for the minority Labour-led administration, however, which brought its headcount down to just 11 councillors. Mr Russell held the ward seat for Labour in a by-election last November, with a narrow victory of only 71 votes over the SNP. Mr Russell polled 1,093 to the SNP's 1,022. An independent bid by local community councillor Tam Lynch saw him poll 421. Last November's poll was a disappointment for the Conservatives, who slipped into fourth place behind Reform. They polled only 239 of Reform's 578 votes. The ward has 4 councillors and extends from the village of Greenrig in the west to Seafield in the east. The candidates standing are Douglas Thomas Butler, Scottish Liberal Democrats; Callum Cox, Scottish National Party; Thomas Robert Lynch, Independent; Samuel James McCulloch, Scottish Labour; David McLennan, Reform UK; Eddie Miller, Independent; Rhys Sinnott, Scottish Conservatives; and Robbie Gerald Walker, Scottish Greens.
Bungalow plan gets green light despite concern. Plans to convert a bungalow into a care home for teenagers have won planning consent despite neighbours' fears. The bungalow in Armadale's South Street will be converted to form residential care for up to 4 youngsters from troubled backgrounds. Neighbours had raised concerns about a property in Denny run by the same organisation, FTS Care, which was criticised in a report from the Care Inspectorate. Addressing West Lothian's Development Management Committee, DMC, and an objector, the director of FTS Care, Derek Scott, moved to assure them that children in his group's care were not criminal but vulnerable teens who needed stability and support. FTS Care applied for a change of use to convert the bungalow at South Street, Armadale, for residential care use. In a report to the DMC, planners recommended granting permission with conditions. It added, "The proposal seeks to change the use of the existing dwelling to a care facility accommodating up to 4 young children on a long-term residential basis. The premises will be supervised at all times by 2 members of staff, along with a residential manager, including overnight cover. The facility will operate in accordance with the regulations set by the Care Inspectorate." Speaking for neighbours, 10 of whom objected to the plan, Jim McCulloch told the meeting the neighbours of other facilities managed by FTS Care had experienced antisocial behaviour and suggested police recognise such facilities brought antisocial behaviour to areas. He added, "This property sits between Mayfield and Bathville, a known drug route. The Moss is a common meeting place at the rear of this property. Both the police and fire brigade have been called out to the Moss on a regular basis over the last few years. This environment is an inappropriate place for vulnerable young people. The voices and experiences of local residents must be taken into account." Neighbours had also voiced concerns about increased traffic and crime in a residential area where most residents were of retirement age. Mr. Scott said the average stay of a teen with FTS was 4 to 5 years, which provided the stability for further education and future adult life. He added, "I'd like to address some of the residents' concerns which I truly understand. The house will be staffed 24/7. There will be 3 staff on day shift, 2 staff on back shift, and 2 staff on night shift. There is 1 member of staff always on sleepover. There's a misconception about theft and causing trouble. These children are not from a criminal background, or they wouldn't be with us. They're from a disturbed family breakdown background and need the support. It's trauma-based, not criminal-based. I just want to make that really clear. He stressed all staff are highly trained and it is regulated by the Care Inspectorate. Chairing the meeting, Councillor Harry Cartmill asked if Mr. Scott had any comment on the concerns raised by neighbours regarding the Denny site. Mr. Scott replied, "There were issues around the management structure within that site. We've addressed these, we've put a new team in there, we've invested and worked with Falkirk Council. We have had an inspection since then and we got a high grade. They are more than happy with what happened. We've invested in training and staff into that particular house. It was a period of time we had to reflect on, and we've worked with the council and the Care Inspectorate." He added, "As a company of 16 years, we fully acknowledge residents' concerns, and we are more than happy to work with neighbours to build trust. They see the benefits of a local child being able to stay with the community where they are still close to family, friends, and importantly, schooling." Councillor Pauline Clark echoed a comment raised by Councillor Tom Conn about concerns often raised when homes were sold about who the new neighbours would be. "Here we know some of what we're going to get. I think the most important thing about this is that it's an opportunity for some of our most vulnerable children to be homed and housed. I would hope that neighbours can get behind this and that these children are welcomed into the community, because I think that's the circumstances where they will flourish." She added that she recognised neighbour concerns, but added regulations were in place. "I think it's a good opportunity for West Lothian for children to be housed close to families." Councillor Cartmill said, "I've been pretty much reassured by Mr. Scott about the safeguards put in place." His proposal to grant permission was seconded by Councillor Clark.
Capaldi's delighted to top star-studded line-up at Transmit. West Lothian singer Lewis Capaldi has been confirmed as one of the headline acts for Transmit 2026. The Someone You Love star is set to take to the stage for the final show of the weekend in Glasgow Green on Sunday, June the 21st. Capaldi will make his sensational comeback to Transmit for the first time since 2022, as he is confirmed to close next year's festival, reports the Daily Record. The Scottish chart topper from East Whitburn has marked an incredible return to performing, complete with a sold-out UK tour and a much-anticipated third album. Other acts announced include Wolf Alice, Sonny Fodera and Amy MacDonald. Former Verve frontman Richard Ashcroft, who recently supported Oasis on their incredible comeback tour, will headline the Friday night. Glaswegian singer Dylan John Thomas will also take to the stage on Friday. The Saturday night will be headlined by Casabin, performing hits like Club Foot and Fire. Louis Capaldi will close the Sunday night with his comeback appearance at Transmit. The West Lothian singer made an emotional return to the stage at Glastonbury earlier this year, following a 2-year hiatus to deal with his mental health. He also began a tour of the UK and Ireland. Festival director Jeff Ellis said, "This year's lineup is packed with brilliant artists, from anthemic festival headliners to the artists fans already know and love, plus lots of new artists for everyone to discover." Every year, the atmosphere in Glasgow Green is amazing, and we can't wait to welcome everyone back for another unforgettable weekend. This time, a little earlier than normal to kick off your summer of music and style. Casabane's Sergio Piznorma said, "There's nothing like a Scottish crowd. Pure chaos, pure energy." Transmit 2023 was wild, even through the storm. Transmit 2026 will be times that by 1,000. It's going to be unreal. We can't wait for the madness. Annie MacDonald said, "I had a great time playing on the secret stage in the summer, but I can't wait to be back on the main stage next year. The last time was one of my favourite shows. The crowd was amazing, and I can't wait to sing with them again in 2026. And that's the end of part 2. Welcome back to part 3, which will be our usual quiz, the layout of which is now 6 pub quiz questions. Now remember to listen in at to the start of part 4 for the answers to the quiz. Here we go. Question 1. What present-day African city was known as Salisbury up to 1982? Was it Bloemfontein, Harare or Lagos? Question 2. Carrow Road is the home ground of which English football club? Was it Norwich City, Ipswich Town or Peterborough United? Question 3. In boxing, what does the C in WBC mean? Is it Challenger, Championship or Council? Question 4. Chelmsford is the administrative centre of which English county? Is it Essex, Suffolk or Middlesex? Question 5. In which year did the Battle of Leyte Gulf take place? 1914, 1944 or 1974? And your last question, question 6. Which American author wrote the 1974 novel Jaws? Was it Alec Haley, Peter Benchley or Stephen King? And that brings us to the end of part 3. You can make a cup of tea and think about the answers to the quiz, and I'll give you the answers shortly. Welcome back to part 4, and we'll start part 4 with the answers to the quiz. Question 1. Which present-day African city was known as Salisbury up to 1982? And the answer, it was Bloemfontein, Harare or Lagos, and the answer was Harare. Question 2. Carrow Road is the home ground of which English football club? A. Norwich City, B. Ipswich Town or Peterborough United, and the answer is Norwich City. Question 3. In boxing, what does the C in WBC stand for? Is it Challenger, Championship or Council? And the answer is Council. Question 4. Chelmsford is the administrative centre of which English county? Is it Essex, Suffolk or Middlesex? And the answer is Essex. Question 5. In which year did the Battle of Leyte Gulf take place? Was it 1914, 1944 and 1974? And the answer is 1944. And the last question, which American author wrote the 1974 novel Jaws? Was it Alec Haley, Peter Benchley or Stephen King? And the answer is Peter Benchley. And that's the answers to the quiz, so we'll carry on with another round of general news items.
Bonfire assault. A West Lothian Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, SFRS for short, crew were attacked on Wednesday night. Firefighters were out in Blackridge at around 9:45 p.m. on bonfire night when police received a report they were being attacked with projectiles. Over the course of an 8-hour period, crews responded to over 700 emergency calls. The SFRS has confirmed 2 attacks against their crews were reported during this time. Deputy Assistant Chief Officer Gary Mackay, Head of Operations for the SFRS, said, "I would like to take this opportunity to thank our staff for their tireless efforts to keep our communities safe during this busy and challenging period. While it's clear our preparatory work with our partners and communities contributed towards a reduction in fire-related antisocial behaviour, put simply, one attack on our staff is one too many." Police confirmed there were no reports of injury to officers.
MSP's bus journey milestone. Almond Valley MSP Angela Constance has hailed the transformative impact of SNP policies after new figures showed young people from West Lothian have taken 6,116,865 free bus journeys since the Scottish Government introduced free travel for those under 22 3 years ago. This follows news earlier this month that over 250 million free bus journeys have been made across Scotland since the SNP launched the scheme in January 2022. The total number of journeys has now risen to more than 257 million. The scheme continues to help eradicate child poverty, tackle climate change, and grow the economy by making it easier for young people to travel for education, employment, and leisure activities. Miss Constance said, "In the face of rising bills and food prices under successive UK governments, the SNP is taking real action to help put more money in people's pockets. Eradicating child poverty is one of the SNP government's top priorities. That's why I'm proud that young people from West Lothian have now made over 6 million free bus journeys since we introduced free bus travel for under 22s across Scotland. This isn't only saving young people and their families money, these journeys are transforming lives. Free bus travel is helping young people fulfil their potential by assessing education and employment and helping them to connect with family and friends. I want to thank every young person from West Lothian who has chosen the bus. In doing so, you are supporting our towns and cities, our climate and our bus services. Along with SNP Council Government action to permanently remove peak fares on ScotRail services, and our other concessionary travel schemes which offer free bus travel to over 2.3 million people across Scotland, we're putting more money in people's pockets here in West Lothian by saving them money on transport.
Gowns and glory. Principal makes perfect exit as college celebrates record-breaking attainment at spectacular ceremony. Over 800 people came together to mark the success of people who achieved a higher education qualification at West Lothian College this year. The college hosted a spectacular celebration on Saturday, November the 1st, featuring indoor fireworks, music from Sing West Lothian, and dancing with unison anthems in the college square. More than 1,400 students achieved higher education qualifications in 2024-25, and 200 attended the graduation ceremony at the college's campus in Livingston. These graduates gained qualifications that sit at the same level as first, second, third, or even fourth year of a university degree. Most of those who achieved HNCs or HNDs are now working or are at university. Many went straight into the second or third year of their degree. As an example, this is the 10th successive year that all HNC contemporary art students who applied to university received multiple degree offers at the best art schools across the country, again many directly into second year. Other graduates achieved professional qualifications from the Institute of Leadership and Management by attending evening classes and Scottish vocational qualifications while working full-time. Student success has improved steadily at the college over the last 5 years, and this year was no different. Figures published by the Scottish Funding Council in July showed that higher education students at West Lothian College had the best attainment rates of all colleges in Scotland. These figures also showed that West Lothian College had the highest overall student success of all colleges. Principal of West Lothian College, Jackie Galbraith, said, "What a privilege it was to celebrate our graduates in the company of their friends, families and college staff. I have worked with or in colleges for over 30 years and believe more than ever that they transform lives. Almost every day I meet people who tell me that, and I know how they feel. Going to college when I was 25 was the best decision I ever made. It enabled me to gain a qualification through which I secured a good job." Jackie has been the college principal since August 2018 and retires at the end of November. After an unsuccessful recruitment process to replace her, Hazel Brady has been appointed as interim principal until the 31st of July next year. Hazel has worked at the college for nearly 20 years and was appointed vice principal for learning and attainment in June 2024. Jackie added, "Leaving West Lothian College was the toughest work decision I have ever made. I'm very lucky to retire from the best job I've ever had, working with the best people and the best students. I leave confident that it will continue to be a superb college under Hazel's leadership." And this article is accompanied by a 2-page spread of pictures with people in their academic gowns, serried ranks of people sitting very proudly in the degree ceremony, and some of them afterwards dancing in the square.
West Lothian remembers. Communities across West Lothian remembered those who made the ultimate sacrifice on Remembrance Sunday. Wreaths were laid at war memorials and cenotaphs throughout the local area, as dozens of people gathered to pay tribute to those who fought for our freedoms. As well as paying tribute on Remembrance Sunday, Bathgate schools attended a special remembrance event at the town's War Memorial, an event organised by ASA Scotland. And that brings us to the end of the news from the Courier, but we're not finished yet. Please stay tuned. Ray, one of our teams, has been out and about and recorded interviews with Pauline Muffet, Service Manager with Cyrenians Opal, which stands for Opportunities for Active Life, and James Seary, the Charity Manager at West Lothian 50 Plus Network. And we have added the recordings here.
Hello listeners, and welcome to another edition of our interview feature. This time we've been lucky enough to get Pauline Muffet, the service manager at Cyrenians Opal, to take some time out of her busy schedule and sit in the hot seat. So without further ado, we'll begin. Welcome Pauline, and thank you very much for making the time available to speak to us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give our listeners a brief introduction to you as a person? How long have you been with Cyrenians? What's your background? Are there any interesting snippets that our listeners could know?
Okay, I have been service manager with Cyrenians for approximately 6 years now. Prior to that, I've been with Cyrenians for 8 years. Prior to service manager role, I was administrator and then groups coordinator. My background is very varied. I worked in finance, I worked in hospitality, I've worked abroad, lived and worked abroad in various different countries. I have a real interest in healthy ageing. And actually, maybe an interesting snippet is that I began my journey with Cyrenians as a volunteer, which is probably about 10 years ago now. I volunteered for about 2 years before I joined as a member of staff.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Now that we know a little bit more about you, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about Cyrenians and OPAL, which I believe stands for Opportunities for Active Lives. I thought it was older people, active lives, but the role that you have there and what services you can provide.
Yes, so our services are for people over the age of 60. We offer various different services, one-to-one support or befriending, which is goal-led. So somebody's maybe come out of hospital after a fall and just wants to build up their mobility again, build up their walking, then we'll match them with a volunteer, and that's the goal that they'll work on over the next 6 months or so. We also do telephone support for anyone who's housebound, and that's a bit more long-term. We offer digital learning sessions, again on a one-to-one basis for people that are trying to upskill themselves with their tablets or phones or laptops. We have over 20 community groups that are led again by volunteers, but we support those groups. And again, they're varied from walking groups, activity groups, social groups. There's a meals group, Mates and Meals, that meet and go for dinner once a month. And there's lots of things going on all across West Lothian. Our office is based in Bathgate, which is also a community hub that people can drop into for information about other services. And we run pop-up sessions there sometimes. So the Bridge come in there and they do finance support with people. We do our digital sessions from there. We have coffee mornings where there's speakers come in. Carers of West Lothian are going to be meeting with carers there over the next few months as well. There's always something going on. And we have a project that supports people with dementia or memory problems, which is called MIST, and that's in partnership with Carers of West Lothian. And that's a fairly new project that's been running for about a year. But there's lots of things going on.
That kind of encompasses my next question, which was that I knew you had the office in Bathgate, and I was going to ask, is this just for you at OPAL? But you've already said that it's encompassing everything.
Yeah, what I didn't actually mention was you said you thought it was older people active lives. We did used to be older people active lives, but we changed that just over a year ago. So we had some really good feedback from the people that we work with to say that they didn't really feel older. And so we decided to change that and make it, a bit more inclusive.
Okay.
And we changed about a year ago to opportunities.
That sounds very inclusive. That's good. Whereabouts are Cyrenians active? I mean, you've said already that you're active in West Lothian. Is it Scotland-wide? Is it UK-wide?
So Cyrenians, the sort of main aim of Cyrenians as a whole is tackling the causes and consequences of homelessness. And that covers a wide range of things. So at OPAL, for example, our aim is to support people to maintain their own home, so live in their own home for as long as possible without the need to go into care. And we do that through this connecting and community support. We have services across Falkirk, East Lothian and Edinburgh, as well as West Lothian. And we have a few other services in West Lothian. So we have a service which supports families of prisoners up at Addywell Prison. We have the Green Skills Centre, which is probably better known as Kirknewton Farm. And they support young people that aren't supported by mainstream education, basically.
Right.
But we've over 60 services across the sort of central belt.
Wow, that's a lot. And I have to ask now, in today's financial climate, it must be really challenging for you to keep the organisation going. Do you get funding from local government, central government? Do you fundraise as well?
Yeah, so we're funded mainly by the West Lothian Health and Social Care Partnership. But like many services, we have been informed that there will be a deduction in our funding, which is tough. And this means that we're focusing on a lot more fundraising than we've maybe had to do in the past. And that's really because we want to be able to keep the service delivery that we have. We want to keep the staff that we have and just keep the options for people, I suppose. But of course, fundraising is quite a big task in itself, and it does take a lot of work. But, you know, we're looking for sponsors, for donations, for any kind of support at all that we can get now to try and keep that going.
Yes, you and probably several thousand other charities, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you may know, Boomerang is staffed entirely by volunteers, but you have staff as well as volunteers.
We do. We actually only have 8 members of staff. So if you consider all the different things that we do in terms of service delivery, we have 8 members of staff, but we are very fortunate and we have 84 volunteers.
84?
84. And so the staff are really there to support the volunteers, to coordinate the sort of delivery of services, but it's the volunteers themselves that deliver all of those services that we offer. So they're invaluable to us.
Yeah. Can you tell our listeners how they can get in contact with Opal if they feel that you can help them?
Yes, so you can contact us by telephone on 01506 815 815. You can email us at opal@cyrenians.scot. You can contact us through Facebook, or you can drop into our hub, which is at 27 George Street in Bathgate.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed. It's been very helpful. Thank you once again for coming to speak with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, listeners, that brings us to the end of this interview, and we hope you've enjoyed it, and we will bring you another feature soon. Hello, listeners, and welcome to another edition of our interview feature. This time, we've been lucky enough to get Jamie Seary, the charity manager at West Lothian 50 Plus Network, to take some time out of his busy schedule and sit in the hot seat. So, without further ado, we'll begin. Welcome, Jamie, and thank you very much for making the time available to speak to us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to come and obviously meet with you. Thank you for asking me.
Can you give our listeners a brief introduction to you as a person? How long have you been with the 50 Plus Network? What's your background? Are there any interesting snippets that our listeners could know?
Yeah, so I started with West Lothian 50 Plus in April this year. So I've not been with the charity for that long, though it seems like a lifetime. Very busy. My background has always been within the voluntary sector, bird sector. So from an early age, I volunteered myself. Within a sporting background, I played rugby up until the age of 21 before getting injured and went down the coaching route. So I've always kind of been with that background. My role within the charity is part-time, so I have another part-time role which I actually stay in Glasgow, and my other role was in Glasgow. So I'm the operations manager at Glasgow Disabled Scouts. So it's good to have a bit of variety of both. Can be challenging at times remembering what job is which, but that's kind of my background. Before that, I worked for 3.5 years with St Andrews First Aid, managing the volunteers there with a team, and then I decided it was time for change, and this is kind of the direction I've now moved on. Something interesting about me, which many at West Lothian 50 Plus probably don't know about as well, is I'm actually Scotland, the most successful Scotland coach for Wheelchair Rugby League. So I was involved in that for 4 or 5 years and led Scotland to the first international win, a few wins after that. So a little bit of claim to fame. I helped get Scotland to the first international win in Wheelchair Rugby League.
Well done.
Thank you.
Round of applause. Thank you. Now that we know a little bit more about you, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about the 50 Plus network, the role that you have there, what services you can provide, and whether there is anything specific for visually impaired people.
Yeah, so as the title kind of suggests, we are 50 plus. So we are for anyone within West Lothian that wants to get involved and is over 50. We have 75 groups at the moment. So there's a wide range of games groups, coffee mornings, physical exercise, pretty much anything you can think of, we kind of deliver. We are a member-led organisation, so all the groups tend to be members with an interest come together to share that interest and kind of do things together. We do have some of the exercise classes that are delivered by an external instructor, so like yoga, and there's a few other ones we do, like guitar, do on Monday evenings. We don't do anything that is specifically geared towards visually impaired. And when I actually seen your question, I thought, should we be? So I think it's interesting. We're about inclusivity, regardless of what your needs may be, but whether there is something that we need to look at in terms of should we be adapting things or doing something specifically to cater for people with visual impairments is something we should look at.
Good. I'm glad we've sparked something then. I know that the 50 Plus network has premises in George Street in Bathgate. Where is the network active? Are you only in West Lothian, or are you part of a larger movement?
No, so we're own small charity that is solely within West Lothian. Our main base is in Bathgate. However, we have groups all over West Lothian. We are and members all over West Lothian. We are heavily within Bathgate and Livingston, but we are looking at where else we can expand our reach. We know there is gaps in other parts of West Lothian where there is a need for organisations like us to start groups, but we also were aware there's other charities that are doing other great work as well, and we, where possible, will work together to deliver something opposed to duplicating what is already happening. So we're kind of looking at how we can extend our reach to areas that may need it within West Lothian.
Good, thank you. Now, in today's financial climate, it must be really challenging for you to keep the organisation going. Do you get any funding from local or central government, or do you have to fundraise as well?
We don't get any central funding or any funding from West Lothian Council. We don't deliver any services for them. All our funds are for external funders, like the postcode lottery is recently funded some of the things we do. But it is tough for charities, tough for voluntary organisations. There's so much good things happening, and there's lots of organisations delivering great work, and there's just not a lot of money to go down and supply them all. So we're noticing a change in the trend of funding, becoming more difficult for us to source funding from grant funders. So we are looking at different ways we can raise funds to become more self-sufficient. So a lot of our members have been doing a lot of fundraising this year. So we've had the Kilt Walk, which some of our members and the staff team did, and raised over £2,000. We recently had a pop-up thrift shop within our Bathgate hub, and that's raised just over £9,000. And that's how we need to keep developing and bringing in income, because it is becoming more difficult to get grant funding.
Yeah, we know that only too well.
Yeah.
As you may know, Boomerang is staffed entirely by volunteers. Do you have paid staff as well as volunteers?
We do. So we have myself as the charity manager. As I said, I'm part-time. We also have 2 member support officers. So they work within our Bathgate hub, and they're there to support the 700 members if there's, well, it's inquiries about groups or getting people into groups or new members, or there has been cases where they'll then support them we work with organisations like the Food Bank, or there's been cases where people may need support phoning electricity suppliers. So they're there to support the members within the group, but also in cases where they have personal help that they may need as well.
700 members?
Yes. So we have 700 members. We have about 90 volunteers who manage the groups. So for the size of organisation, for the size of staff team we have and the number of volunteers we have, we kind of punch well above our weight in terms of a charity.
That's really impressive. That's wonderful. Can you tell our listeners how they get in contact with the 50 Plus Network if they feel that you have activities for them?
Yeah, so we are obviously in Bathgate in terms of the hub. You're welcome. Anybody's welcome to pop in between 10 and 2, Monday to Friday. Staff team are there, and we tend to have volunteers that are meeters and greeters, and they would explain how you could get involved and talk you through the amount of groups we've got. Obviously, if you're not close to Bathgate, then you're welcome to give us a call. So you can find our number on Google, or you can visit the website for more information. We're very aware, so we're a membership organisation as well, so there's a membership fee to join, but we're very aware that people, so that's £36 for the year, but it's pro rata, so at the moment it's £18 because it runs April to April, but I'm very aware that people potentially don't want to commit before then going to groups. So we're keen if people want to come along and try a group or see what the sort of things we offer before making that decision. So I would always encourage people to reach out, go along to some groups. If it's for you, great. If it's not, then at least you've gave it a go. And we'll all, if we don't have something suitable for, we'll always look to pass you on to another organisation that's maybe more suited, because we feel it's important that you get what you're looking for, opposed to us trying to cater something to fit what you're looking for, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. I like the way your organisation works. That really has been very, very helpful, and thank you once again for coming in to speak with us. And that brings us to the end of this interview feature. Listeners, we hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope to bring you another feature soon. Watch this space.
In our recording sessions, this is Team Pre, of course, we always like to include, where possible, a poem or a composition written and read by one of our team, Ray. So, before we wind up our recording session, perhaps Ray would again give us one of his compositions. Over to you, Ray.
Thank you. Tonight I have departed just a little because I've got two of my poems and they're set to music. The music has been created by a piece of AI software. We have The Hope of Spring and The Homecoming. And first we have The Hope of Spring.
Dull days of winter out ahead, once green lushness brown and dead. We wait for spring, the verdant time when warmth returns and shoots will climb towards the sun. But wait, what's this? A breath of hope, it's nature's kiss of life, to lift our spirits high, to please our eyes and make us sigh with joy. The snowdrop white, a splash of color shining bright, reminding us of days ahead when weather's fine and flowers spread. Then we'll forget when winter came that we had played our waiting game.
And now we have The Homecoming.
The ship sails stately up the sound, the mainsail set She's homeward bound, the captain stands on deck now proud. He's brought them back as he had vowed. For 12 long months they've been away. Now finally has come the day when children see their father's face, when sweethearts can their beaux embrace. The flags are out on ship and shore. There's garlands hung round every door. The harbor's thronged as people wait. The buzz of conversation's great. Another mile and she'll be there. The berth awaits, the weather's fair. The timbers creak as if to say, we've done our work, now let us stay at home a while and give us rest. We've kept them safe and done our best. She rounds the point, the sails are furled. Around the bow, the water swirled. She inches closer than she's held. Make those ropes fast, the mate has yelled. And then at last, her motion stilled. The gangway's out, her charge fulfilled. She's home again, home from the sea. And finally, her spirit's free.
Well, folks, we have now come to the end of this week's recording, and we hope you have enjoyed it. When you have finished listening to this recording, can I remind you to place the USB stick in the wallet, reverse the label so that the cutout corner is at the top right-hand side, and post it back to us as soon as possible. And remember, wallets should only be posted in a post box. Please do not post them in a post office. So, it's goodbye from the members of our team,
Therine,
Nan,
And Ray.
and goodbye from Jim, and goodbye from Andrew, our engineer, and from Ray again, our distributor. All together now?
bye.
Bye.
bye.